Check 1 2. Yo, hello my cutie patooties. Hello my little chili beans. Hello my little chi-chis. Hello my little Cheetos. Hi, this is me, Chili AF. What are we doing? I don't know. Woo! I need a second to breathe. I'm a little nervous right now. This is crazy doing this by myself. Is this a podcast is the question. I don't know. The other videos I did, if you think about it, they could be podcasts as well, right? Really, it's just a reason for me to yap, I guess. I feel like yapping. I'm a Gemini. I love yapping, which is very funny because on the internet, I love yapping and exposing my opinion. And in real life, I'm the most antisocial person you will probably ever meet. I will literally freak out over ordering a burger. But anyways, what is this? I don't know. I'll tell you the truth though. Here's the truth. Here's the real deal. I'll tell you. My beautiful husband. I don't know. I'm giving him time. I'm giving him time. He needs some time. It's never good to rush people into doing social media. That is not good. That's no bueno. And he just needs some time. But we will be back with our pod that you guys know already. We have been recording it, as I've told you guys, but for some reason we haven't posted anything. And I have been thinking about picking up on editing to help out because he's been very busy, very, very busy. Men's is very busy. So I thought about picking up on editing, but I don't know. Every week I tell myself maybe this week we will start. Maybe this week we will start. I don't know, but it's fine, And then my second thought was, well, my gay best friend, oh my gosh, we would kill it if we had a podcast. I tried convincing him as well, but he's very anti-posting on the internet. Like, he is the type of person that doesn't even have an Instagram. Like, he hates that type of stuff. So here I am, a Gemini, alone. Alone with a big dream, many dreams, all the dreams. And so, yeah, this is me. Like, that's why I'm here now. I was like, I'll do it myself because my motto for this year is for this year. Don't mind my Bulgarian accent. Sometimes it comes through. If I drink, it gets even worse. I'm not drinking. I'm drinking coffee, by the way. What was I saying? See, this is a problem. This might happen a lot, and that's why it's a problem if I'm doing this on my own. I forget what I'm saying. I get too lost in my own sauce. But hey, look, I've completely forgot what I was talking about, but I figured I can do this. Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. My motto for this year was to not rely on anybody because I am tired of giving excuses and I'm very tired of being just upset at myself and blaming everybody else on my shortcomings. Everything is a reason. Like, you see, this didn't work out because of this, and this. Nah, girl, nah. This year, there's no excuses because the ultimate plan, we want to achieve our goals, right? So why are we self-sabotaging? This was a great intro. Actually, this wasn't planned at all. This was a great intro for what I had planned for today. But anyways, that's basically what we're talking about today. You guessed it. The most cliche of topics ever. The most popular ever of the 21st century. Yes, you guessed it. How to deal with anxiety. Yay! Ain't that great? Anxiety. When I think about the past, when I think about me as a kid, even me as a teenager, even when I was dealing through so much stress, like I remember, I grew up in Brazil, so we have this thing called vestibular, which is this nationwide test for you to get into college. College over there is public, so you don't pay anything, and I mean anything. Like, you don't pay a single cent to go to the best schools. And that's the thing as well. Public colleges public universities. I mean, public universities in Brazil, they are the best in the country. The cheap, the ones you don't pay to are the best schools in the country. The ones you pay to, you can find good ones. I don't know. I don't know much about that, but it's well known in Brazil that if you go to a public university, it's extremely hard to get in. The test, is nationwide. Like I said, it's extremely competitive. Everybody wants in, and because it's a state school, right? The positions are very limited, so not everybody can get in, but you can keep trying until you're really there's like old people in the universities there, like there's like 70-year-olds like going to school, and they're a vibe, actually. By the way, they're like the best people ever. But anyways, I remember stressing so much about that. Like that to me was the biggest like stress in my life, going through high school and just thinking. Like, I remember that being my main concern. That was me having my actual first, how do you say, I want to say it in Bulgarian. Sometimes words come to me in other languages. In Bulgarian, it's called zblesek. That was my first time, like, kind of like being face to face with actual worry, like, about my future. And, I had huge dreams. First of all, I was very rebellious. I wanted to not be a violinist. My whole life, I was, how do you say? I was trained to be a violinist, and my rebellious ass didn't want to be that. I wanted to do the opposite. So what I did was I developed, because I was in an international school, I developed this liking for international relationships. Why did I wanted to say international relations. I don't know why I said relationship. Anyways, yes, I did a couple of Model UNs, and I was like, this is it. This is great. I know languages. I like my history. I don't like math, even though you still had to study that. Anyways, it was very competitive to get into international relationships. International relations in Brazil. Anyways, there was this thing. So there's the vestibular, right? We talked about it. And there's also a version of vestibular, which is the same thing. But, they decided to help us kids out. If you're in high school, right, 3 years of high school, you can choose to also do something called PAS. PAS is like they break down the vestibular, which is actually a test of all 3 years of high school. They break down the PAS into 3 separate tests. You take the PAS, right, which is you're giving yourself extra chance to get into college. They break down the test into 3, which you take a test at the end of each year of high school. And every year has a different weight. So the year 1, if you mess up, you still have a chance of, passing. And mind you, there's depending on what you choose to do, there's different weights as well. Obviously, the hardest ones to get in were medicine and lawyers, law, and the third one was international relations. Why did I do that to myself, right? But I was like, okay, I'm doing PAS anyways, so let me just try it, give myself a good chance. My first test, bro, I failed so bad. I don't know what happened. I feel like I was bamboozled. I had high hopes, and I had studied so much. Like, if anything, I'm an overthinker, and I'm a warrior with an O, not an A. I wish it was with an A. I'm a warrior, and I studied a bunch, right? I over-prepared. I was ready. So during the test, I started overthinking. I was overthinking. I think that was my first time also experiencing real overthinking, the one I deal with today as an adult. But I was overthinking, and I wanted every single question to be correct. And the problem with that test is that one wrong answer will annul a right answer. So you can't be guessing. If you don't know an answer, it's best to leave it blank. My crazy Virgo moon ass did not want to do that. I wanted to be impeccable. And I blinked, and time was up, and I wasn't even ready with half of my test. It was me and another girl that wanted to do medicine. We both cried so much. I went to my ex's house after that, my very first boyfriend. Very funny. Like, anything that would happen that was bad, I would run to his house. But I went to his house and I just went to cry. I cried the whole time. Poor bro. Like, he was probably like, I was expecting like something cooler, not just chick crying at my crib for hours. But that was my world crashing. That was me freaking out. My parents are Bulgarian. I was sure they were gonna definitely not be happy. I was in big trouble. There was still a chance, right? There was still a chance. I mean, I had the second and the third test to go through. And as I said, the second test is heavier in weight. So if you do better, you have better chances. Like, it would be like twice as much weight as the first test, and the third one would be 3 times. So like, you know, there's a chance, Illy, you can do it. I freaked out so much. And I think my biggest fear was actually failing. And I really wanted to make it. Like, duh. I really wanted to get into the university immediately after finishing high school. One of my best friends, Bianca, shout out Binky, she was the biggest nerd. Like, shout out to her for real. I realized just how smart she was for real. I knew she was always smart, but this is where I was like, she's hella smart. 6 months before we graduate high school, this girl announces that she secretly did the vestibular test, which is harder than the pass, like as I said, and she passed 6 months before even graduating. She left 6 months before. I was like, girl, I wish I was smart like that. Like, I wish I could get the hell out of here too. Side note, nowadays I wish I didn't, because it was great. Like, those years are some of the best years of my life, and I'm so glad of all the memories I made. 6 months, glad I had those extra 6 months. So yeah, she passed, and I was like, bro, I need to also like get my ass into the university ASAPular. I am gonna be so humiliated if I don't. Everybody's in college and not me. I gotta wait another 6 months because they do the test every 6 months. That day, while I was crying and freaking out after my first pass test, I made the decision. Well, after that day, I went to bed and I had a dream, and I still remember that dream. I remembered opening up my violin and playing, and I hadn't played for 3+ years. Again, rebellious. And I had this dream, and I was just in the dream. I just felt like, how the hell am I going to live without music and art in my life? And how am I going to live? Because I wanted to be like a UN person, like when I wanted to do international relationships. Oh, why do I keep saying this? I wanted to work in the UN or become a diplomat. And I realized, like, no shade, guys, but when I was doing the Model UN thing, I realized that a big part of that job is to be a really good liar. You're kind of like an attorney. It's not about what you think, it's about what the country you represent, like their policies and their politics and their history. It's not your opinion on what's right or wrong. Sometimes you have to vouch for the wrong thing because that's what's beneficial for your country. So I did not like that. I'm a very, like, I like to say a very pure-hearted person. Like, it's very hard for me to do wrong. If I do wrong, I cannot lie or hide it. Like, I will be the worst person to commit a crime would be me. I would immediately, like, turn myself in, probably. That was another thing that I realized I didn't like about that job, and I didn't like the whole suit and little, like, briefcase life. I was like, ugh. I'm a creative, bro. Like, I'll find a way to like the violin, like, real quick. Also, I didn't want to fail. So, you know, music, by the way, side note, very important. Remember, music was the easiest college branch or program or department. Yeah, department. It was the easiest department to get in. Period. all the arts, really. If you wanted to be an actress, if you wanted to be anything in the arts, like, you would probably get in. It was that easy. Nobody wanted to do that shit. So anyways, damn, my coffee got cold. I yapped too much. Hold up. For these pods, I need to get myself like a coffee warmer cup or something. Yo, this is the longest introduction and I haven't even gotten to the point. So here's the deal. I immediately switched my plans after that night of this insane God-given dream. Or was it my way of swerving and not trying to look crazy, just being like, this is all a part of the plan. Like, I had a dream and God told me I should go for music. No, but maybe it really was, though. It maybe really was part of the plan. The fact that I blinked, I swear to God, I blacked out during that test and it was over. I was like, what? I changed my plans and I decided to do music. Anyways, everything worked out. Of course, I passed on with music. Like, I've been playing the violin since I was 6 years old. My parents, like, this is going to sound like a Nepo baby problem, but I'm not a Nepo baby. Okay. But my parents were, they still are professors at that university for music. They're both professors of music. And I just knew everything about that department. Like, since I was 15 years old, I used to hang out there. So I knew everything. I knew how the test was ran. There was a different test for music people. You were ear trained. Like, you had to do ear tests, like hearing tests. Like, they would play a melody. You have to write it down in music notation. Or what are you hearing? Like, a bunch of music tests. You have to also play. So that was not a problem for me. That was like, got it. What was really impressive is that I just want to brag here. This has nothing to do with the story. Oh, hold up. My husband is calling and I'm on the pod. Hold up. Hey, babe. I'm recording my pod. Hold up. All right, we're back. Oh, this might be like the most interrupted pod in history, but I missed my moment to shine and brag, which is I will do it anyways. Don't care. I will brag because a part of the test of both the vestibular and the PAS is for you at the end you have to write an essay, and that part is kind of like the last part of the make it or break it moment, because even if you pass on the test but you fail on the essay, you fail on the test. So the essay also has a very heavy weight to it all. And I freaking loved writing. I developed a very big passion for literature and books. I was a bookworm. I used to spend my lunchtime in school at the library with my friend Bianca, by the way. Shout out Binky again. So I was very surprised that I actually, and this kind of goes into the history of the whole thing because it's very rare, okay? Let me just preface by saying this. That is extremely rare, but I got a perfect 100, or in Brazil, as they say, a perfect 10 in my essay, which means there was not a single comma, a single period, exclamation point, nothing. Like, nothing was wrong with it. And they can judge you also on the topic too. Like, I freaking nailed it. That was like, that almost never happens. I'm telling you, like, it's very, so anyways, that was my moment to brag. So that was my first encounter with actual like stress in my life. Other than that, of course, I remember having other stressful moments in my life. Like, I started gigging a lot and I had a lot of traumatic experiences gigging with like where the gig wouldn't turn out good. Like, I told this story recently actually because it traumatized me so bad when I was like young, you know, not super young. I was in college already, but I was doing a lot of gigs and one of them was a wedding. I was doing a lot of weddings, by the way. And I was supposed to play at this wedding and let's just say, like, short and sweet, I completely botched the bride's entrance. And so after that, I was extremely traumatized, and other experiences with performing. Like, performing was very traumatizing to me. I still struggle with performance anxiety. Like, my whole my master's degree thesis was on performance anxiety, and I'm still here struggling with it. I mean, you could call that anxiety back in the day, but it wasn't anything debilitating. And it wasn't until I moved to the US, Los Angeles specifically, in 2014, I was officially like graduated from college, and I was officially an adult now. And I had just gotten married, my first marriage. Yes, I'm divorced. I got married extremely young when I was like 21. So don't do that. If I can give you a piece of advice, never ever do that. That is not good. I remember my very first encounter, like for real, like this was my first time actually using the word anxiety. Like, this was the first time when I was like, I might be having like a panic attack. Yeah, this was when I was in my 20s, when I was in LA on my own. Now, was it the consequences, right? Like, was it consequences of having traumatic experiences, or was it just my current situation? Like, you're an adult in the world alone. Your family isn't close. You're married at 21 to a person that you've known for like basically a year. Not that the guy he was fine, but you know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I think I started freaking out, and I started allowing my overthinking to take over, and my worrying. Like, things that I couldn't control, I wanted to control. Which is, we know at this point, it's impossible to control life. Like, you can't just accept it. It's better if you just accept it. Me realizing anxiety for the first time, or being aware of it for the first time, I'll tell you exactly when that happened. Well, in my memory, it's when I started my job. Like, I started a teaching job as a violinist. I was teaching violin to little kids in Irvine, California. And this was during my, what is it called? PTO? No, that's not PTO. That's pay time off. OPT? CPT? It's a program from college. When I was doing my master's degree, you get a year or two to, work legally, obviously. And I did that for a year or two. I was teaching. And that's when I realized I was anxious. I realized that I just couldn't eat. That's what I realized. I arrived at my job. Well, hold up. I just remembered this specific day I hadn't gotten the job yet. This was me doing the interview stages. So that's when I realized, oh, this is anxiety. Because before pulling up to my interview, I decided to stop for a little coffee and a little food because I was very, very hungry. And I ordered my usual croissant from Starbucks, my favorite thing ever. And I took a bite, and my mouth was the driest thing ever. It was like the desert of Sahara. It wouldn't go down even with coffee. Like, I just couldn't eat it. It was so weird. I had never felt aversion or nausea. I was like, I'm not like pregnant. And that's when I realized my stomach felt cold. Like, that's what I felt as far as anxiety. I felt cold in the pit of my like guts. That's when I was like, oh shit, like, this is anxiety. This is what people been talking about this whole time. And, going through my master's degree, performing, and especially in academia for classical music, I've noticed this a lot. And I think, I hate saying this, and this is me blaming again things that are, maybe they're just my fault for being weak, but I feel like the classical world of academia messed me up because, and I talked about it with another girl that I know from TikTok, Sophie said, yeah, that's her name. Shout out, Sophie. We don't know each other in person, but we follow each other on TikTok. And she's a classically trained singer. Same deal. Like, she told me her story, or she didn't tell me her story. She made a TikTok about it, and I really related to it because same deal. Like, the classical world is very savage. Like, every Wednesday we had a thing called forum where the room itself looked like a Roman, like, gladiator pit. It was literally like a pit, and like the seats were like a, how do you say, like a sports gymnasium, not gymnasium, like a sports, I don't know how to call it. I don't like sports, so I don't know any names about sports, but like a stadium. There you go. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it was like a stadium. Like, all the seats were above you, and you play in the bottom of the pit, and everybody's watching you from the top, and it's a circle. So it's like you're surrounded by a bunch of people staring at you, and you're the gladiator, and you better kill that performance or it will kill you. Because at the end of that performance, it was every Wednesday, and you have to play. Like, we tried to get out of it, but you have to play, otherwise you don't get your grade, and you have to do it more than once. So you play on Wednesday during lunch. Let me mention that. You bring your precious food to that room, and you eat while you watch other people suffer on stage. Basically, you play your shit. You play it. All of the string department, all the students and professors watch you. They watch you, and they judge you. And at the end, everybody has to. You don't have a choice, because if you don't criticize people, you also don't get graded. Because we decided to be nice and kind to each other, which I think it was beautiful. We, as students of the music, we knew what was happening. We knew we were getting yelled at by teachers all the time and humiliated all the time, because for some reason classical world thinks that that's the only way for us to progress, apparently. Freaking hate that. It's triggering. But we leaned on each other, and we were kind to each other as students. We didn't bully each other. We didn't like to bully each other. And our way to combat that culture was to be kind. And instead of pointing out the bad things, we decided to point out the things we liked. So we'd be like, I love your tone, and I love your sensitivity towards this piece of music. I love your vibrato. I think you're playing really in tune. We started doing that, and our professors was like, you have to point out something you didn't like. I get it, guys. They wanted to help us. They wanted, because you can't grow only from, quality. Like, somebody's saying good things about you. You grow from also criticism. So I get that. But the fact that they wanted us to criticize even when somebody performed perfectly. And I understand there's no such thing as perfection in this world. There's no such thing as a perfect performance ever, because we're human. But I think a part of the beauty of music is that organic humanness, where it's not perfect. That's where it really like hits you in the chest and in the heart. And I think this constant obsession with perfection kills emotion. And I don't know, for some reason Professors in the classical world, they're only obsessed mostly with perfection. Thank goodness my professor, he was great. Professor Henry Grenier, he was great. I'm very proud of him and proud of myself for just surviving. And I'm very thankful for him for being so patient with me and for teaching with so much love, because he was the only one, I feel like, in there, or one of the only few people in there that actually cared about his students and that actually cared about music as a feeling and not solely as technique. So Wednesday's forum was extremely stressful, and also the teachers would also basically crucify you in front of all the other students. I have a memory of being very traumatized by one specific incident man, I got like destroyed on stage. And all of this just made me more anxious. Just all of it. All of it. Like, I feel like my master's degree was like the cherry on top. Again, I don't think it's everybody else's fault except for my own. Like I said, for being a little bitch. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that to myself. I'm sorry, Illy, for being, let's say it as it is. Like, for being weak. Like, I was being weak. I respect people that are able to hear these things and deal with these things and kind of not feel hurt by it, and they just keep going and they don't even remember their traumas. I respect those people so much. I wish I was like that, which brings me to my main point, which after 30 minutes of intro, here we go. This is it, guys. Let me hold your hand as I say this. We have to do it ourselves. Nobody's going to come to save you. Nobody's going to really help you except family. But still, you can't even... Family also is not enough. Like, it is enough, but it's like you have to help yourself. They can try and help you as much as they could, but like it's not going to work if you don't help yourself. And my whole point is that I've reached a point of anxiety. For somebody that never dealt with it, now I'm a little anxious ball of anxiety. And I realized that the only way of dealing with this is to literally hack my brain and find different ways to hack my brain. I got to tell myself whatever I need to tell myself to get myself to function. Otherwise, I'm going to spend my whole freaking life hiding from the world. And trust me, I've done this for a couple of years already, just hiding from the world. It gets very comfortable, but it also gets very boring. It gets very lifeless. And that's not what life is about. Life is about experiences. Life is about shining. It's about showing yourself. It's about being proud of who you are and making friends and sharing things with friends and hanging out with friends and anyway, showing your talents and, connecting. So I started trying to hack my brain. Every day it's something different. It's like whatever I need to tell myself. And one of the things that did it for me recently, it happened when I woke up one morning and I felt absolutely horrible and I was ready to give up on my day, which I've done so many times. It's very easy to just wake up and be like, I just don't feel like dealing with today and I'm just going to let anxiety take over. No. That day while I was journaling, which by the way, I think journaling every day while I drink my morning coffee has been one of the best things because it really gives me perspective on my day, how I'm feeling, what I want to do. It becomes very clear what I want to do with my day. And while journaling, I realized that I literally had a choice in front of myself, which was, do you want to give up for the day and just have a blank day that will go down in history as nothing, just a day that I chilled, which is fine. I'm not judging. It's fine to do that once in a while. But do you want that for today or do you want to do something productive? Like, you have a choice. It's going to suck. Life isn't about always doing what you like. In fact, you'll find out that life is mostly about doing things you don't like. So what do you want to do, Illy? And I decided that I wanted to be productive. I'm not going to let this take me down today. So you see, some days it's easier to fight. But again, if I didn't have the energy to fight, I would just choose to chill. And like I said, that's fine. If you don't have the energy, it's completely fine and don't feel guilty about it. Because I felt guilty about it too. And then at that point, you're resting and feeling guilty about it. Like you're double doing bad things to yourself twice as much. Horribly worded, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, you have the choice. And on that day, I was like, cool. I know what's in the forefront of my mind. I knew I needed to create content. I knew also that I needed a haircut. That was the day of the haircut episode, by the way. And I was like, why don't I just join both things? I felt like a genius. I was like, oh, crap. I could do both at the same time and be extra productive. So I did that. And after that, I had the energy to even edit my video because I was excited to do it simply. And I spent all day working on it. I finished after midnight. It was like 2 a.m. Like my husband had already gone to bed. He came back from work. I was working. He had dinner. He went to sleep and I was still working. And that was one of the most ever, like the most productive days of my life. And to think that that was a day that I was just ready to give up. It was a conscious decision. And that's also when I realized that everything in life is a decision. We can't simply live like animals where we just literally do everything that's in our hearts, which is fine and beautiful and dandy and very poetic. But again, that's what I said. Life isn't about just doing what we love, unfortunately. So that was one of the hacks, I'd say. Make an effort, make a choice. Like, actually make a choice. Don't let, like, the day sway you naturally. Like, don't, like, think for a second and realize that you have free will and you have a choice. The other thing that's been really, really, really helping me stay consistent at the gym, I was so dang anxious one day that I decided to run. And I'm a terrible runner. Like I said, I'm not a sports person at all. But I decided to run and not stop running until I felt like I didn't have any more anxiety. And that was a day that I ran for 20 minutes straight. Mind you, I couldn't even run 2 minutes straight before that. It's all in your brain. Like, it's all in your brain. And after that, the next day, I was able to run 25 minutes. And I'm convinced at this point that next time I go, I'll be able to run 30 minutes, which is bananas considering who I am and my history. Okay? But the only reason I'm able to do this now is because of the consistency I've built. And the mind hack I used to stay consistent at the gym is to simply flip my thought process. Like completely the opposite. I used to think before going to the gym, I used to think, oh, I got energy today. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to go so hard at the gym today. And then I will go above and beyond, come back, be tired. The next day I'd be so exhausted and sore, I would struggle twice as much to even get myself to the gym. Sometimes I'd be able to make it. Sometimes I'd be like, no, I'm too sore for this. I will literally hurt myself if I go. So what flipped? My mindset. I decided not to give 110% every time. I decided to give like a comfortable 80%. If I'm feeling strong, I will give 100%, of course. But on days where I don't feel good and I don't feel like going to the gym at all, I tell myself, I'm going to do the bare minimum. Instead of running, I'm going to walk on an incline. Fair, isn't it? Like, I have no objections to that. That's fine by me. Or instead of doing 60 minutes, maybe I'll just do 30. That's a win. Better than nothing. And basically conditioning my brain to think every day, instead of doing the most or doing everything, do a little bit, but do it every day. With everything. So that was a game changer for me to go to the gym. Now I go every day almost. I'd say 4 or 5 times a week. And I go without high-ass expectations. I just go to fulfill my obligation and not suffer. I don't have to suffer. I've been so used to like, whatever I do, it has to be absolute perfection and I have to suffer because if I don't suffer doing it, then maybe it's not good enough. Like, come on, Illy. Seriously? For some reason, I thought that suffering was equivalent to doing a good job. Like, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this. Do you really have to put your blood, sweat, and tears into this? And here's another thing I've learned. This is a hack that actually changed my life, and this is the reason I'm able to be right here, right now, podcasting or having a YouTube channel suddenly, because I realized that you don't have to do the most. As simple as that. Or let me phrase this even better. I realized that if it's hard, then it's not supposed to be. If it's easy, if it's flowing, right? It doesn't, like, easy is not really, easy is like, what is easy, right? But if it's flowing, if it's not as hard, like if it comes effortless, but you still have to put in work. But if it feels effortless, do that. That's what's working. If it's something that it's too much work and you're struggling to complete every single time, change your strategy, buddy. Like, how far do you think you can go like this if it's super hard to do every single time? Simplify it and make sure you do it as much consistent as you can. And I think that's beautiful. What other hack? Well, here's my third or fourth hack. I don't know. I'm not counting. This hack is also very recent because recently I've been dealing with an extreme amount of anxiety. I've been going through my visa process. Every time, if you're an immigrant, every time you're doing a visa thing, it's extremely, extremely, extremely stressful for many reasons. It's mostly, I'll just say it as it is. It's mostly financial stress because visas are extremely expensive, especially if you have an attorney. And I'd rather do it with an attorney because I'm already stressed with an attorney. Imagine if I didn't. So I caught myself thinking a lot about money, and I caught myself stressing a lot about money. I caught myself thinking about, what if it's not enough? What is going to happen if it's not enough? And it's like constantly in my brain. Whatever I'm doing, watching TV, I can't even focus on watching an episode, right? Like, my brain's still thinking about finances. Bro, honestly, I had to go to the extreme opposite and literally hurt myself. Like, not literally. Oh my gosh, that sounded terrible. Oh my gosh. No. Not literally. No. Mentally, like, I had to go to the extreme side of things and tell myself, all right, let's imagine the worst case scenario. Fuck it. We're stressing anyways. We're having anxiety anyways. Just go to the worst case scenario and get it over with. And move on after that, because you can't go any lower than that. So, worst case scenario, I don't have enough. What you gonna do? Figure it out. Because there's no other option but to. So, me stressing right now about the future is not gonna change the future. So, literally turn off my brain. Do the best that I can with my responsibility as far as not spending too much. But also, I'm gonna live my life, because I realized I started depriving myself of things that I wanted, which also leads to a unhappy life. And F it, money is money. It comes and goes. So just also accept that. But me overthinking and worrying is not going to change the outcome of absolutely anything. What I can do is, again, choose and decide through my free will that I choose not to worry. Period. And if I catch myself worrying, I try to shut my brain down. Literally. I'll be like, stop. Put on some music. Go hit the gym and run as fast as you can. I don't know. Start playing a video game. Whatever you need to do. Just don't do drugs, okay? That was another thing I realized. Just go to the worst case scenario and get it over and done with and move on. And forget about it. I basically got that hack from watching this Netflix new documentary, which was Live Forever or Don't Die. Oh yeah, Don't Die. Again, I was like, why do people choose these titles like Don't Die when you could choose Live Forever, which is way more positive, instead of using two negative words, don't and die. Anyways, that's topic for another pod. I got this information from this documentary. And it's this millionaire who decided to do everything he can possibly to essentially live forever and not die. So the key for him, the brain hack, was that he found out that when he didn't think, when he turned off his brain, he was able to do it all. And he completely transformed his life for the better. Well, when he used to let his brain control his life, he was absolutely miserable and overweight. And you can see it in his face. He was stressed. He was drinking. He was overworking. It was bad. And it clicked for me. I was like, that's what it is. My brain is my biggest enemy. I am a professional self-sabotager. And I catch myself as a songwriter writing a bunch of songs about how horrible my brain is. But, talking too much about how horrible my brain is and not doing anything about it is just going to make it worse. So that's why here I am sharing a little bit of hacks that I found, and I hope they can help you guys. And with a lot of yapping, I'm getting tired now. I think we're done for this pod for today. And I had actually a lot of fun. And I'm going to keep doing this because why the hell not? This is awesome. It's just going to be on YouTube for now. I had a lot of fun. My energy just went down. I got tired of yapping. Wow, it's a miracle. It finally happened, guys. I guess I did need a pod for my own pod. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Help your girl out monetizing because, like I said, biggest anxiety right now is money. So please do, like, if you can do anything to help me out where it's like not you literally giving me your money, just click on subscribe and comment. Say, hey Illy, you got this, or Illy, you're gonna be rich. Actually, you know what, if you watched until right now, please comment below and say, Illy, you're gonna be rich. Thank you. And that was my TED Talk. See you next time. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!